Hey everybody, and welcome back to another ASMR video here on the channel, and I should say welcome back to another ASMR conspiracy theory video here on the channel. We've got a bit of a different one today, because the last one we did was Flat Earth, and that's very much something that people believe in. They will die by it. But this one's just a little bit more fun, and frankly, some of them are just a bit weird, but it was requested. If I can find your comment, I'll put it somewhere on screen. And it is, of course, The Simpsons, and how The Simpsons somehow has predicted things that have actually happened in the real world. But we'll get into that. Basically, we're going to go through, I think the article is called 17 Things That The Simpsons Predicted. And that we're going to go through that, basically. I've opted to go soft-spoken because we haven't done it in a while, but my soft-spoken voice is kind of like a croaky whisper at the best of times, but I've actually lost my voice as well on top of that, because I was at a wedding over the weekend, and a mixture of singing, shouting, and, of course, drinking. My voice is just in the bin, so I don't know why I decided to go with this, but we're rocking with it, and yeah, we're going to go soft speaking. And I was finding it a bit weird asking people for opinions on my voice, but let me know if you're happy with soft spoken, or if you prefer whisper, whatever. But I think it's good to mix it up every now and then. But yeah, enough waffle. You've clicked on the video not to hear me ramble on, but you've come to hear about The Simpsons predicting real world things, occurrences. So without further ado, let's get into that. So, with 31 seasons and counting on the air, The Simpsons is undeniably a television phenomenon. Both the longest running American sitcom and animated programme, the critically acclaimed cartoon is widely recognised as one of, if not the best shows of all time, for its humorous satire of everything from politics and pop culture to everyday family life. You're familiar with The Simpsons, I assume. In fact, throughout its nearly 700 episodes, creator Matt Groening and his team have been so on top of the country's cultural pulse, they've even managed to predict several major historical events, along with a few less momentous happenings along the way. Here are 17 times The Simpsons made eerily accurate predictions about the future. So, number 1, Siegfried and Roy's Tiger Attack, Season 5, Episode 10. Predicted in 1993, came true 10 years later in 2003. After Springfield decides to legalise gambling, Mr. Burns opens a casino where German magicians Gunther and Ernst perform a routine, seeming to spoof the long-running Las Vegas Siegfried and Roy show. Tragically, a bit in which the animated duo is attacked by their tiger came to fruition 10 years later, when Roy Horn was mauled on stage by a white Bengal tiger, leaving him partially paralysed and ending the long-running production. Next one is Autocorrect Fails from Season 6, Episode number 8. And this was predicted in 1994 and came true in 2007. During a Springfield Elementary School assembly, Kearney asks fellow bully Dolph to take a memo to beat up Martin on his Newton, Apple's early attempt at a personal digital assistant. However, the machine translates the message into "eat up Martha" instead, foreshadowing the common messaging errors people blame on iPhone's autocorrect technology. In fact, Nitin Ganatra, Apple's former director of engineering for iOS applications, revealed in 2013 that the Simpsons gag served as a rallying cry while developing the software for the iPhone's keyboard. if you heard people talking and they used the words "eat up Martha," it was basically a reference to the fact that we needed to nail the keyboard. We needed to make sure the text input works on this thing, otherwise, here comes the "eat up Marthas," he told Fast Company. Next prediction is FaceTime from Season 6, Episode 19, and this was predicted in 1995 and came true in 2010. So, in this futuristic instalment, Lisa talks with Marge using her phone's video chat capabilities, predating the popular FaceTime feature of today's iPhones by 15 years. I mean, that's pretty cool, but I mean, at the end of this, we'll sort of talk about what I think, is the Simpsons fortune tellers? Are the Simpsons fortune tellers? Interesting. But we'll go through that at the end. So, the next one is faulty voter machines, and this was from Season 20, Episode 4, Treehouse of Horror. I used to love those Treehouse of Horror episodes as a kid, because they were actually kind of scary, as well as being funny, of course, but I haven't watched Simpsons in a very long time. And this was predicted in 2008, and came true in 2012. So, in a bit inspired by the 2008 presidential election, Homer tries to vote for Barack Obama, only to have a voting machine record his selection as John McCain several times. Coincidentally, when it came time for Obama to run for a second term in 2012, video footage emerged of a Pennsylvania machine switching a vote from Obama to one for his Republican opponent Mitt Romney. The machine was reportedly taken out of commission. I mean, that's probably more a coincidence, isn't it, realistically? The God Particle, Season 10, Episode 2. This was predicted in 1998 and came true in 2012. So, the existence of the Higgs boson, or God Particle, a breakthrough that helps explain how everything in the universe has mass, wasn't confirmed by physicists until 2012. But according to Dr. Simon Singh, the author of The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets, after Homer decided to become an inventor in The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, this is the episode we're talking about, he was pictured standing in front of a blackboard with an equation that predicted the mass of the yet-to-be-discovered particle. If you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is, he told The Independent. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered. Yeah, that one's pretty interesting actually. Out of all of them so far, that's probably been the most interesting prediction. NSA spying scandal is the next one, and this was in the Simpsons movie. And this was predicted in 2007 and came true 6 years later in 2013. So, when the Simpsons family is forced to go into hiding following their escape from the EPA biodome enclosing Springfield, the NSA locates Marge and the kids by listening in on one of their conversations. However, it wasn't until 6 years after the Simpsons movie hit theatres that Edward Snowden first blew the whistle on the government mass surveillance of Americans' phone and internet records. Yeah, but I kind of feel with that one, like, even though Edward Snowden was technically the first to blow the lid off it or whatever, like, surely even before that there would have been rumours and talkings of kind of thing, but I guess if you're talking about, like, popularising it, The Simpsons did it first, technically. Next we have Smartwatches, Season 6, Episode 19, Lisa's Wedding, and this was predicted in 1995 and came true in 2014. So when Lisa visits a fortune teller at a Renaissance fair, viewers are transported 15 years into the future to 2010, a time when wristwatch communication technology exists. However, even the Simpsons' future society was a little ahead of its time, as modern voice recognition-enabled smartwatches weren't rolled out until 2014. So, did it get it right? Technically not. But again, the thing with like watches and stuff, like I'm sure the Simpsons weren't the first to do that. America's Ebola outbreak, season 9, episode 3 in 1997, obviously came true in 2014. This instalment saw Marge offer to read a depressed Bart a book called Curious George and the Ebola virus. This moment was widely circulated during the 2014 American Ebola outbreak when YouTube user The Controversy 7 created a video laying out a theory revolving around the Simpsons' predictive tendencies. Ebola obviously existed before 2014, right? I feel like I'm just like putting down all of these, but like that is like kind of cool. The next one is FIFA's corruption scandal. Predicted 2014 and then came true in the next year in 2015. Although the World Football Federation representative who asks Homer for help repairing the organisation's image isn't explicitly named as a member of FIFA, his arrest turned out to be uncannily similar to those of the real-life FIFA officials who were arrested on corruption charges about a year later. Not to mention that the episode also correctly predicted Germany's defeat of Brazil in the 2014 World Cup. That's pretty impressive. Don't really have a put down for that. Fair play for predicting that. Greece's debt default, predicted in 2012 and came true in 2015. When Homer appears as a guest commentator on cable news show Headbutt, a ticker runs across the bottom of the screen that reads, "Europe puts Greece on eBay." Of course, this was 3 years before Greece became the first developed country to default to the International Monetary Fund, plunging the country deeper into economic crisis. They're kind of getting more and more impressive now as we go through. Like, I'm starting to, actually get these. Next one is the Nobel Prize, predicted in 2010 and came true in 2016. Bengt Holmstrom may not have won the Nobel Prize in economics until 2016, but one Simpsons character was betting on him 6 years prior in a scene from the season 22 premiere in which Martin holds up a scorecard depicting his Nobel Prize betting pool with Lisa, Milhouse and Database. The MIT professor is clearly marked in one of Milhouse's squares. Again, that's pretty cool. But then again, there's like a lot of different like potential candidates and clever people on this list. So like to use if you throw enough shit, something sticks. Like, and I think that's really my opinion on the Simpsons predictions overall, with a few exceptions because a few are kind of strange. Next is President Donald Trump, predicted in 2000 and came true 16 years later. When Bart flashes forward into adulthood, viewers learn that Lisa not only becomes president, but inherits quite a budget crunch from her predecessor Donald Trump. "The country is broke," she asks at 8 in one scene. "How can that be?" At the time, the real Trump presidency was still 16 years away. However, in a 2016 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, writer Dan Greeny explained the joke was meant as a warning to the country. That just seemed like the logical last stop before hitting bottom, he said. It was pitched because it was consistent with the vision of America going insane. So I think that's less impressive on The Simpsons' part, but more embarrassing for America as a country that like the writers of The Simpsons could see it coming and like it actually happened. So like that's less impressive but more just embarrassing for American society, in my opinion. Next is Lady Gaga's halftime show, predicted in 2012 and came true 5 years later. Nearly 5 years before Lady Gaga descended from the roof of Houston's NRG Stadium for the halftime show of Super Bowl LI. I don't know what number that is. Her Simpsons doppelganger performed a song for the residents of Springfield while suspended in the air. The two mother monsters even wore similar silver ensembles for their shows. Nice. Disney's Fox takeover, predicted in 1998 and recently came true in 2017. After a trip to Springfield, director Ron Howard pitches a screenplay that Homer wrote to producer Brian Glazer of 20th Century Fox. At the beginning of the scene, a sign can be seen at the Fox studio lot that reveals the company is now a division of Walt Disney Co. Cut to nearly 20 years later, and this sale is officially underway, with the news breaking that Disney has reached a deal to acquire $66.1 billion worth of Fox in December 2017. I mean, yeah, that's kind of cool, but I guess, I don't really have an explanation for that. Fair play, Simpsons, well done, congrats. Team USA's Olympic curling win, predicted in 2010 and came true in 2018. Team USA's men's curling team defeated Sweden in a shocking upset at the 2018 Olympics that brought yet another Simpsons storyline to real-life fruition, mirroring events from a 2010 episode in which Marge and Homer made it onto the US mixed doubles curling team. The Americans came from behind in their Feb 25 matchup with Sweden to capture gold at the Winter Games in Pyeongchang. I've probably butchered that, sorry. Right, we got a few more, I think. I've lost count, if I'm honest. Next we have Drogon's fiery rampage on Game of Thrones. It was predicted to only 2 years before, so that would have been great if it literally predicted like 1995, like there will be a medieval style show where this character goes crazy, but 2 years, I don't know. But a 2017 episode called The Simpsons saw Homer, Marge and the rest of the Simpsons gang find themselves in the kingdom of Springfieldia, an alternate fantasy universe that parodied many aspects of life in Westeros, from Game of Thrones, of course. There was even a fire-breathing dragon that burnt down the Simpsons village, much like Drogon ended up doing to King's Landing in Game of Thrones' penultimate episode, The Bells. And the 2020 experience, this says, predicted in 1993. If 2020 was a bingo card, The Simpsons could already have at least 2 squares ticked off. In the nearly 30-year-old episode, Marge in Chains, not only does an unprecedented flu sweep through Springfield, but when the townspeople begin rioting to demand a cure for the virus, a swarm of killer bees that could be likened to the murder hornets that recently hit the US unexpectedly come into the picture. On the other hand, episode co-writer Bill Oakley told The Hollywood Reporter in March that any comparisons the storyline seems to invite to coronavirus are purely coincidental. You would say that if you're from the future, wouldn't you? There are very few cases where The Simpsons predicted something, he said. It's mainly just coincidence because the episodes are so old that history repeats itself. Most of these episodes are based on things that happened in the 60s, 70s or 80s that we knew about. So, yeah, to be fair, he's more or less done my sort of job for me, what my views were going to be at the end of this. Like I sort of alluded to earlier, I think it's just, if you throw enough shit at the fan, something will stick. Is that the phrase? I feel like I might have combined 2 phrases there, but like Simpsons has been going for a very, very long time, and there's only like 17 things, and you think of all the episodes, I'm sure they did loads of skits and parodies and stuff that never actually happened, so I think it is just purely coincidental. But having said that, some of these are pretty interesting. Like the Disney thing isn't historical, so like that was just like kind of luck, isn't it? But it's still interesting to look at and go through. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy this conspiracy theory episode. Like I said, it was a little bit different, but hopefully you found it relaxing nonetheless and interesting. If you did, please do leave a like, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because why not? But anyway, guys, I will see you in the next ASMR video, and until then, take care.